Imagine yourself waking slowly in the gentle glow of early morning, the faint warmth of the rising sun brushing over your face, the distant sounds of water lapping softly against wooden canoes on the lake. You stretch, the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers filling your senses, and you realize that you are not in a world you recognize. You are, instead, in the heart of one of the most fascinating civilizations to ever exist, the Aztec Empire, a place bustling with life, ritual, and mystery. A society so complex and so different from our own that surviving a single day here would be a trial in itself. Have you ever wondered what it was like to live in Tenochtitlan, the capital city built on islands in the middle of a vast lake, where canals served as roads and causeways connected a thriving urban center to the surrounding lands? Imagine stepping onto the wooden bridges in the pre-dawn hours, hearing the rhythmic slap of sandals on planks, the chatter of market vendors arranging their wares, and the faint hum of prayers carried from distant temples. This is a world of color and sound, of constant movement and unyielding expectation, where every action carries both purpose and meaning. In the streets of Tenochtitlan, life unfolds according to strict social structures, traditions, and obligations. The city is alive, yet disciplined, with nobles walking proudly in finely woven garments, priests moving with measured reverence toward the towering temples, and commoners hurrying to the markets with baskets of maize, beans, chilies, and bright feathers. Everyone, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, understands their role, yet survival is never guaranteed. The sheer intensity of daily life here, the intricate balance between work, ritual, and devotion, is enough to make one pause and reflect. You might feel, even in this quiet imagining, that stepping fully into such a world would be as exhilarating as it would be terrifying. The Aztec people built their lives around both the natural and the divine. Their calendars dictated their festivals, and the rising and setting of the sun structured the rhythm of work, prayer, and leisure. You would wake early to help grind maize, the staple of life, into dough for tortillas or tamales, and the aroma of cooking over open fires would mingle with the earthy scent of the lake and the smoke from ceremonial fires atop the grand temples. Every meal, every task, even the way you dressed and walked, held meaning. Yet, even amidst the beauty of daily life, there was always an undercurrent of danger. Illnesses, accidents, and the demands of the gods were ever-present reminders that life was fragile. If you enjoy the quiet exploration of history, the gentle unraveling of another time and place, subscribe if you like these types of videos, as we will wander together through these streets, through the temples, and into the very hearts of Aztec homes. Over the next hours, we will drift slowly into a world that seems distant and strange, yet profoundly human, where life was rich, precise, and often harsh. You will meet people from all walks of life: the farmers who rise before dawn, the artisans crafting objects of beauty, the warriors preparing for campaigns, and the children learning lessons that will shape the rest of their lives. Each of them has a story, a rhythm, and a role, and through their eyes, we will explore the world as it once was. So, let us begin. Picture, once more, the water surrounding your city. The canals glimmer like silver threads beneath the morning sun. You hear the soft plash of paddles as a canoe glides towards you, carrying the first goods for the market. A woman balances a basket of fruits and flowers on her head, calling softly to passers-by, and children dart between feet, laughing, chasing one another in a game as old as the city itself. And all around, the temples rise like mountains of stone, their steps worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims, the distant drums marking time, echoing a rhythm that guides the day. Here, the day begins, but in the Aztec world, every beginning carries with it a story. And these stories, if we listen closely, reveal the heartbeat of a civilization that was alive with knowledge, ritual, and human endeavor. You would wake to this world, breathe it in, and perhaps feel the first thrill and fear of realizing that survival in such a place is as much a matter of skill, as it is of respect and awareness. The first light of dawn stretches across Tenochtitlan, casting golden streaks over the lake, the causeways, and the sprawling city. The water reflects the rising sun like a molten mirror, and the sound of birds, the bright chirps of parakeets, and the soft cooing of doves, mixes with the gentle lapping of waves against the wooden docks. You step out of your small home, a structure of reeds and adobe with a thatched roof, and feel the texture of cool earth beneath your feet. The smell of damp soil mingles with the smoke from early cooking fires, a smell so distinctive that it immediately grounds you in the reality of this place. Children run barefoot through the streets, their laughter carrying over the water. They weave through adults, mimicking the gestures and work of grown-ups. Boys might chase after small wooden weapons, imitating warriors they have seen in the plazas, while girls help their mothers grind maize on matates, learning the precise rhythm necessary to create the fine dough that sustains life here. From the very earliest age, every movement, every sound, every gesture teaches the lessons of survival, responsibility, and respect for the natural and spiritual world. The markets awaken with life. You make your way along a narrow canal, where small canoes float alongside wooden walkways, piled high with goods. Brightly colored fruits, long pods of beans, fresh tortillas, aromatic herbs, and the soft, warm smell of baked tamales are offered by merchants who know the faces and preferences of their customers. You notice the artisans as well, featherworkers carefully layering brilliant plumes into elaborate patterns, potters shaping clay into vessels that will hold both food and water, and weavers creating textiles with geometric patterns that tell stories older than memory. Here, every item is not merely functional, but also a statement of identity, belief, and beauty. As you wander, you hear the sound of water being poured and stirred. Someone is preparing chocolate from roasted cacao beans, grinding them into a paste that will be mixed with spices and maize. The rich, bittersweet aroma drifts across the market, mingling with the earthy scents of fresh corn and the tang of lake water. In a nearby stall, a man sharpens obsidian blades, small but incredibly sharp, each one a reminder of both craft and the potential for violence that permeates the daily life of this city. Everything here is imbued with purpose. Nothing is trivial. Even the rhythms of conversation carry weight. People speak of the weather, of crops, of debts and favors, of festivals and ceremonies. Each phrase, each tone, signals a subtle hierarchy, a nuanced relationship, or a social expectation. The Aztecs were intensely aware of status and respect, of how a word, a gesture, or a glance could signify honor or dishonor. To navigate this society is to walk a tightrope. One misstep, and you risk public humiliation, social exile, or worse. It is a delicate dance, requiring attentiveness, discipline, and a deep understanding of the invisible codes that guide every interaction. And yet, amidst all this, there is calm. Not the frantic energy of modern cities, but a measured, enduring pulse. Life in Tenochtitlan, while rigorous, is also deeply connected to nature and ritual. Every day carries a spiritual dimension. The sun, a constant and vital presence, governs the hours of work and prayer. The lakes, canals, and chinampas, the floating gardens, sustain the city with an almost miraculous abundance. Farmers tend to their crops with precision, planting maize, beans, and squash in patterns that optimize growth, while the canals provide fish and waterfowl. Life is hard, yes, but it is also deeply ordered, and within that order lies a rhythm that is almost hypnotic, capable of lulling the mind into a steady calm even amidst the challenges of survival. As the morning progresses, you see warriors preparing for training. Young men, barely more than boys, strap on leather and cotton armor, and lift wooden swords studded with sharp obsidian. The sound of wood striking wood echoes through a training ground near the edge of the city. They practice the movements and forms that will one day protect the city and expand its influence. Each strike, each block, each movement is precise, learned over years, honed until it becomes almost instinctual. Here, discipline and dedication are inseparable from survival. To be a warrior is to know not only how to fight, but also when, where, and why, a knowledge that encompasses both skill and understanding of one's place in the cosmic order. Women, meanwhile, continue their essential work. Some grind maize, their hands moving with almost meditative precision, while others tend small gardens near the homes, planting chilies, herbs, and flowers. In some households, women are weaving intricate textiles, each thread a testament to patience and care. Even domestic tasks are imbued with ritual significance. Every meal, every action, is a practice in respect for the gods, for family, and for the delicate balance of life that sustains the city. The midday sun rises high, hot and relentless, reflecting off the water and stone. The heat is both a companion and a test. It forces people to seek shade, to pace themselves, to respect the body's limits while continuing with their work. Merchants cover their goods with cloth. Children retreat into the cooler corners of the home, and warriors pause, wiping sweat from their brows as they adjust their movements. Life here demands awareness, attentiveness, and endurance. Every hour is a negotiation with nature, with society, and with oneself. And yet, in this rhythm, there is beauty. The laughter of children, the laughter of friends meeting in the plaza, the soft lapping of water, the smell of cooking fires, the brilliance of birds in flight. All of it forms a tapestry that is simultaneously vibrant and calm. The Aztecs understood the necessity of balance, work and rest, devotion and survival, effort and contemplation. Even amidst hardship, they cultivated a society rich in art, music, dance, and poetry. Every city, every home, every street carried both function and meaning, a constant reminder that life, though demanding, could also be profoundly rewarding. As the day wears on, the sun climbs higher and the shadows shorten, stretching across the plazas and causeways. You notice the subtle shifts in the city's pace. The market, once a flurry of voices and movement, now has pockets of calm where neighbors pause to exchange a word, a smile, a small gesture of camaraderie. Merchants wipe their brows, leaning on wooden counters, watching the gentle flow of customers and the lazy swirl of water in the canals. The air is thick with the smells of food, grilled fish, roasted maize, spicy chiles, and the ever-present tang of smoke from ceremonial fires. It is a scent that permeates every corner of Tenochtitlan, grounding the city in its daily rituals and necessities. You walk along a canal, watching as canoes glide silently across the water. The men and women who paddle them move with practiced ease, balancing baskets of goods on their heads or placing bundles of reeds and wood into the bottom of the boat. Their movements are almost meditative, a quiet, flowing rhythm that contrasts with the bustling energy of the streets. Children follow along the edges, sometimes dipping their hands into the water, laughing at the ripples that spread outward, disturbing the mirrored reflection of the sky. These little moments, so ordinary and yet so beautiful, reveal the human tenderness beneath the strict order of Aztec society. In one corner of the city, near the Grand Temple, a priest is performing the morning's ritual. The smoke from copal incense curls upward in delicate spirals, carrying prayers to the sky. His movements are slow, deliberate, each step a testament to years of training and devotion. The sound of a flute, soft and haunting, drifts through the plaza, mingling with the chants of the faithful gathered around. Even if you are not participating, the scene draws you in. There is a weight to it, a presence that touches the mind, inviting reflection and awareness. In the Aztec worldview, the spiritual and material were inseparable. Every action carried both practical and sacred significance. Observing this, even as a visitor in imagination, you can feel that balance pulsing quietly beneath every moment. Nearby, artisans continue their work, their hands shaping the daily life of the empire. A potter turns a wheel, coaxing clay into forms that will carry water, maize, or precious offerings. Each piece is marked with patterns, symbols that tell stories or indicate ownership. Featherworkers layer vibrant colors into intricate headdresses, each feather carefully selected for its hue and texture, meant to honor the gods or signal social status. These crafts are not merely aesthetic, they are woven into the social and spiritual fabric of the city. To create is to participate in the maintenance of order, beauty, and divine favor. As the sun begins its slow descent toward the western horizon, the city shifts again. The heat softens, and shadows stretch longer, creating a tapestry of light and dark across the streets and canals. This is a time of transition, a pause between the work of the day and the evening rituals. Families gather to prepare food, sharing stories of the morning's events. The rhythmic grinding of maize continues, but now accompanied by laughter, conversation, and the occasional song. Children practice the lessons learned in school, reciting histories, prayers, and moral tales that will guide them through the complexities of life in Tenochtitlan. The role of education here is subtle yet profound. Boys and girls are taught not only practical skills, but also the moral and social codes of their people. They learn the art of observation, the importance of respect, and the consequences of action. A misstep, a disrespectful word, or a careless gesture can ripple through the community, and the young are taught to move through the world with awareness. Even in play, lessons are embedded. Games simulate hunting, combat, or social interactions, teaching strategy, cooperation, and resourcefulness. Life is preparation for life itself, and every hour spent awake carries this dual purpose. Meanwhile, in the canals and lakes surrounding the city, fishermen cast their nets with rhythmic precision. The glimmer of silver fish flashing in the water reflects the fading sunlight. They pull their catch with strong, practiced motions, aware of the need to balance sustainability with abundance. The lake is both a provider and a test, a living entity that demands respect. Women and children gather along the edges, sorting the catch, cleaning fish, and preparing them for cooking or preservation. The sound of water, the occasional splash, the low murmur of conversation, these sounds create a quiet symphony of life, one that underscores both the simplicity and the complexity of survival. As dusk approaches, the city prepares for a new phase. Fires are lit along streets and in homes, casting a warm glow across the stone and wood. The smoke carries the aroma of cooking tortillas, roasting meats, and burning herbs, weaving a tapestry of scents that define evening in Tenochtitlan. Families gather together to share the day's meal, recount experiences, and impart wisdom. The bond between generations is evident in the careful guidance of elders, the attentive listening of children, and the shared labor of preparation. Even in the privacy of a home, life is a shared enterprise, a series of responsibilities and exchanges that maintain both family and community. And yet, as the city winds down, there is still a pulse of vigilance. Guards patrol the streets near temples and markets, aware that the world outside the city walls carries threats both mundane and extraordinary. Illness, accidents, or sudden violence can disrupt the rhythm of life, and the Aztecs are acutely conscious of this fragility. Every person, from child to elder, is part of a larger network of responsibility, a web that maintains the balance between order and chaos. To walk these streets is to constantly engage with both beauty and danger, to move with attentiveness and care. Night falls, and the city slows into a quieter, more reflective rhythm. The sounds of conversation fade, replaced by the gentle lapping of water and the occasional call of a night bird. The temples, illuminated by firelight, stand as silent witnesses to the day's events, monumental reminders of devotion, power, and endurance. Families rest, children sleep, and the Aztecs close their eyes, knowing that tomorrow will bring the same demands, the same challenges, and the same rituals of care, work, and devotion. Even in sleep, life in the Aztec Empire is a lesson in balance and resilience. The constant attention to detail, the intertwining of practical needs and spiritual devotion, the careful calibration of social interaction. These are the threads that weave the fabric of daily life. For an outsider, it might seem overwhelming, even impossible to endure. But for those born into this world, each day is both a challenge and a rhythm, a series of acts that sustain life, family, and the gods themselves. As night deepens over Tenochtitlan, the city seems to exhale a quiet, steady pulse. Fires flicker in the homes and along the temple plazas, casting shadows that dance across stone and reed. The reflections in the canals shimmer gently, merging the light of the flames with the dark of the night sky. Even the hum of daily life continues in a quieter, subtler rhythm. Somewhere, a mother hums a song as she rocks a child to sleep, the voice rising and falling like the ripple of water across the chinampas. A fisherman cleans his small nets by lantern light, and the soft lapping of the lake against wooden piers creates a lullaby for anyone listening carefully. In these moments, the city's pulse is both alive and meditative, a reminder that life here is continuous, disciplined, yet intimately human. The Aztecs' connection to the cosmos is ever present, shaping not just rituals, but the very structure of daily life. Their understanding of time was intricate and precise. The sunstone, the calendar, and the cycles of festivals governed everything from agricultural labor to religious ceremonies. Each day carried specific meanings, each day demanded its own acknowledgement. The heavens were mapped onto the lives of the people, their labor, their celebrations, and their obligations. Children are taught to recognize these cycles, to see patterns in the stars and the movements of the sun and moon, to understand that the celestial order mirrors and influences life on Earth. Even at rest, the Aztec mind is attuned to a world far larger than the city itself, a web of time, space, and sacred law that encompasses both daily life and eternal destiny. In a small home along the edge of the canal, a family prepares for the coming day even as they sleep. Mothers rise quietly, tending to small fires to warm water for washing and food preparation. Fathers stretch and adjust the simple tools that will be needed for farming, crafting, or guarding the city. The children, still half asleep, learn by watching, absorbing gestures, rhythms, and routines that will become second nature as they grow. Life is taught, practiced, and internalized from the earliest moments. Even dreams might be interpreted as omens, messages from the gods, or reminders of duty. Sleep in this city is both restorative and instructive, a gentle continuation of the day's education. Beyond the homes, the city itself has its own architecture of function and symbolism. Temples rise in majestic tiers, each step a literal and spiritual climb toward the heavens. The grand temple of Huitzilopochtli, with its twin staircases, dominates the skyline. The ceremonial platforms are spaces of devotion, of sacrifice, and of communication with the divine. Pilgrims and priests move with careful steps, the sounds of drums and flutes echoing across the city. Observing from the canals, the light from torches reflects on the waters, creating illusions of floating fire. Life in Tenochtitlan is not only lived horizontally, along streets and canals, but vertically in the symbolic ascent to the sacred. Every citizen, knowingly or unknowingly, participates in this multidimensional structure of life. Even the marketplace has its nighttime rhythm, though quieter. Traders close their stalls, wrap their goods, and exchange soft words with neighbors about deliveries or arrangements for the next day. The clatter of pottery is replaced by the gentle creak of wooden carts being moved to storage. Fish and maize are carefully stored, sometimes salted or dried, to ensure sustainability. Hygiene, though simple, is meticulously maintained. Water from the canals is used for washing and cleansing, and waste is disposed of thoughtfully, keeping the city healthy in ways that often go unnoticed. In this balance of care and order lies the quiet genius of the Aztec approach to survival and society. As the moon rises over the city, silver light touches the water and the rooftops, casting a serene glow over the sprawling urban network. This is a time for reflection, meditation, and intimate conversation. Lovers meet in quiet corners, whispering softly among reeds and flowers. Elders tell stories to children, recounting myths, history, and cautionary tales of both triumph and tragedy. Knowledge is passed along not only through words but through gestures, traditions, and observation. In this society, memory is sacred and learning is woven seamlessly into the fabric of daily life. Every action, every interaction, becomes an opportunity to connect past, present, and future. The Aztecs' relationship with the natural world is equally profound. The chinampas, floating gardens that stretch across the lake, glow faintly in the moonlight. Farmers check the water levels, the roots of maize and beans dipping into the nutrient-rich soil below. Fish swim lazily among the plants, providing sustenance and balance to the ecosystem. The cycle of planting, tending, and harvesting is meticulous and precise. The people know the land intimately, understand the behavior of the seasons, and the needs of each plant and animal. To be attuned to nature is not a choice. It is a necessity, a constant dialogue that shapes work, ritual, and daily survival. Meanwhile, the city's artisans continue their labor, even at night. Feather workers may sit beneath a lantern, finishing intricate designs for ceremonial headdresses. The bright colors of quetzal, parrot, and macaw feathers are carefully layered, each stitch precise. Potters might refine the shapes of their vessels, smoothing imperfections, ensuring that the final product is both functional and beautiful. Music, too, continues softly. Drums, flutes, and chords of string instruments hum faintly through homes, sometimes as practice, sometimes as a meditation. Art and craft are continuous, their rhythms harmonizing with the cycles of the city and the movements of the cosmos. Even the younger generation is deeply engaged. Boys practice with small weapons in private corners, mimicking the warriors they aspire to become. Girls weave small textiles or learn the art of grinding pigments for paint. Each skill is taught with patience, passed down through generations. Observation, repetition, and imitation form the foundation of learning. Mistakes are corrected with care, and mastery is celebrated quietly. Every day is an opportunity to refine skills, to understand one's place in the world, and to contribute meaningfully to the survival and order of society. There is also a subtle awareness of danger woven into these routines. Illness is always a threat, and knowledge of medicinal herbs and remedies is critical. Certain plants are carefully stored, their properties known to heal or soothe. Injuries from tools, weapons, or accidents must be treated immediately, often in homes or small infirmaries maintained by skilled women and elders. The Aztecs understood the fragility of life and built a network of knowledge, craft, and vigilance that allowed the city to function despite the ever-present risks. And then, there are the ceremonies that mark the passage of time and reinforce social cohesion. Nighttime rituals, while not always grandiose, carry a quiet power. Families offer small gifts or prayers at home altars. Fires are lit in honor of particular gods, the smoke carrying gratitude, requests, or acknowledgement of cycles past. Music and chant flow softly, creating a shared experience that binds individuals to family, community, and cosmos alike. Through these small actions, the rhythm of life extends beyond work and survival into the sacred and eternal. Even as you imagine drifting into sleep in one of these homes, the city continues its subtle activity. The guards move quietly along the perimeter, ensuring that no threat disturbs the tranquility. The waters of the lake reflect the stars in a shimmering, living map. The smell of smoke and maize, of earth and water, is a constant presence, grounding the city in its essence. Every element, light, sound, scent, touch, is part of a layered existence that is at once immediate and eternal. Life in the Aztec Empire is a delicate weave of survival, devotion, craft, learning, and care. It demands vigilance and endurance, but it also offers profound beauty, continuity, and connection. To inhabit this world fully, even in imagination, is to understand a society deeply in tune with its environment, its cosmos, and the intricate dance of human interaction. Each day, from sunrise to sleep, is a meditation in action, a lesson in resilience, and a celebration of the human capacity to create meaning, order, and art in even the most challenging conditions. And as the night stretches on, and the moon casts its silver light across the city, one can almost feel the pulse of Tenochtitlan, the collective heartbeat of thousands of lives synchronized in rhythm, purpose, and devotion. This is a world that is both beautiful and exacting, a civilization that thrived because its people understood that survival was not merely physical, but social, spiritual, and psychological. Each breath, each step, each action is intentional, contributing to a larger tapestry that is both daily life and cosmic order. The night continues to embrace Tenochtitlan, wrapping the city in a quiet stillness that feels almost sacred. Yet even in darkness, life persists. The city never truly sleeps, it shifts into softer, subtler movements. Fish glide beneath the moonlit surface of the canals, the occasional splash signaling a momentary disruption in the water's mirror, like calm. The soft rustle of reeds along the shores mixes with the whispering of families tending to late-night tasks, mending nets, checking small fires, or quietly finishing crafts that require delicate attention. Every action, though quiet, is purposeful. In this city, stillness is never empty. It is a continuation of the order and rhythm that defines life here. In the homes built from reeds, adobe, and wood, the flicker of candlelight or small braziers illuminates the faces of families gathered in intimate circles. Women tend to infants, singing lullabies that have been passed down for generations, their voices gentle but filled with intention. Men might sit cross-legged, fashioning small tools, sharpening obsidian blades, or quietly teaching older children the principles of measurement, observation, or the use of simple machines like the atlal. The education of the young is continuous. It is woven seamlessly into the flow of daily life. Children absorb lessons not only through instruction but through observation, imitation, and reflection, learning that every action has consequences and that skill, awareness, and discipline are essential for survival. Outside, on the streets and in the plazas, the patterns of light and shadow create a tapestry that shifts with every flicker of flame. Temples, towering monuments to gods both benevolent and fearsome, glow softly in torchlight, their stone faces catching highlights that transform them into living presences. Priests and temple attendants maintain these sacred spaces through constant care, clearing debris, polishing stone, arranging ceremonial offerings, and reciting prayers in low, measured tones. Even the act of maintaining the temple is itself a ritual, a bridge between the human and divine, between the temporal and the eternal. In the canals, the canoe traffic is minimal at this hour, yet a few dedicated fishermen continue their work. They glide silently through the water, balancing lanterns that cast long reflections across the lake. Nets are cast with practiced precision, ropes are coiled neatly, and the faint splash of fish breaking the surface punctuates the gentle rhythm of paddling. These nocturnal activities are as much a part of the city's survival as the daytime markets and fields. In the Aztec worldview, there is no separation between work and life. Every task, whether by day or night, is connected to the larger web of existence. The soundscape of the city at night is a complex and layered experience. The gentle plash of water, the distant call of night birds, the rustle of leaves, and the low murmur of human voices combine into a living symphony. Each sound has its place and significance, contributing to a sense of order and balance. Even the occasional cry of an animal, whether a dog, a bird, or a wild creature near the lake, carries meaning, signaling movement, alerting to danger, or simply marking the presence of life. The Aztecs were intensely attuned to these details, understanding that survival depended as much on perception and awareness as on physical skill or strength. At the edge of the city, near the great causeways leading to the mainland, sentries maintain quiet vigilance. Their eyes scan the darkness, watching for intruders, wild animals, or signs of unrest. These guardians are trained to recognize subtle disturbances, a shadow where none should fall, the glint of metal in torchlight, the faintest ripple across the water. Their work is a reminder that even in the serene moments of night, danger is never far. Life in Tenochtitlan demands constant engagement, a balance between calm and alertness, rest and readiness. Meanwhile, in quieter corners of the city, conversation flows softly. Families gather to share reflections on the day, recounting minor successes, missteps, or observations about neighbors, commerce, or the natural world. Storytelling is both entertainment and instruction, weaving together lessons about morality, history, and the consequences of action. Children listen intently, learning not only the content of the tales but the rhythm of communication, the importance of respect, attention, and reflection. Every word, every pause, every gesture is part of a subtle curriculum that teaches the young to navigate the complexities of their world. Even the landscape itself participates in this nocturnal rhythm. The chinampas stretch outward like a delicate lattice, the reflection of the moon turning water and crops into a silver tapestry. Farmers who remain awake check irrigation channels, ensuring that water flows evenly, that roots are nourished, and that pests are managed before they can damage the fragile balance of the system. The care with which these floating gardens are maintained speaks to a profound understanding of the interdependence between human labor and natural systems. Each stalk of maize, each sprouting bean, each glimmering fish in the canal contributes to the survival of the city. In certain homes, preparation for the next day begins quietly. Meals are prepped, tools are cleaned, garments are mended, and small offerings are made at household altars. Each action is deliberate and respectful, acknowledging the gods, the ancestors, and the larger community. Even mundane tasks carry a sacred dimension. The Aztec philosophy, in this way, infused everyday life with meaning. Nothing was trivial, nothing wasted, even the smallest effort contributed to harmony and continuity. The city's vitality depended on such care, for the health, prosperity, and safety of Tenochtitlan were the sum of countless individual actions executed with diligence and awareness. At times, the city is illuminated by ceremonial activity that continues long into the night. Small groups may gather at neighborhood shrines to observe rites of devotion. They carry candles, incense, and offerings of flowers, maize, or small figurines. Music, flutes, drums, and rattles flows softly, guiding participants into a shared rhythm of prayer and reflection. These gatherings are not grand spectacles, but intimate acts of devotion that reinforce social cohesion, spiritual awareness, and personal discipline. In the Aztec worldview, every citizen had a responsibility to the gods, and even the quietest acts of respect and attention contributed to the balance of the cosmos. Sleep in Tenochtitlan, though often punctuated by small tasks or vigilance, is deep and restorative. Children lie close to their parents, absorbing warmth and security, while the adults drift into dreams that often carry reflections of the day's lessons, fears, or aspirations. Dreams were considered significant, sometimes prophetic, offering guidance or warning. They were discussed quietly, interpreted with care, and used as tools for reflection. Life, in this sense, did not pause during sleep. It flowed continuously, a seamless integration of work, learning, devotion, and observation. Even at this late hour, the pulse of the city is discernible. The water flows, the wind rustles the leaves, and the faint murmur of life continues everywhere. There is a profound serenity here, yet it is a serenity forged through discipline, attentiveness, and respect. To survive and thrive in the Aztec Empire requires constant awareness, a harmony of body, mind, and spirit with one's environment, society, and the divine. Each person, each family, each neighborhood contributes to this delicate equilibrium, forming a living tapestry of interdependence, devotion, and skill. And so, as the night stretches onward, Tenochtitlan sleeps lightly, cradled by its canals, floating gardens, and stone temples. Life rests, yet remains alert. The city breathes in quiet rhythms, preparing for the sun's return. Dawn will come again, bringing with it the same challenges, joys, and intricate patterns of existence that define the daily life of this remarkable civilization. Each day is a story, each action a thread woven together into a grand, continuous tapestry of human endeavor, survival, and devotion. The first rays of sunlight pierce the horizon, scattering gold across the canals and stone causeways of Tenochtitlan. The reflection on the water glimmers like liquid light, drawing the city into a gentle wakefulness. Smoke curls upward from countless hearths, mingling with the scent of damp earth and maize, creating a subtle, comforting aroma that permeates every street and household. Birds begin their morning calls, the sharp cries of herons, the flitting chatter of parakeets, the low cooing of doves, and the sounds mingle with the faint paddling of early risers in canoes along the canals. The city awakens slowly, deliberately, in harmony with the natural and spiritual rhythms that guide Aztec life. In the streets, children emerge first, their laughter piercing the quiet morning like small bells. Boys run with sticks that serve as mock weapons, chasing each other through narrow alleyways and across wooden bridges. Their games are lessons in agility, strategy, and observation, each movement a rehearsal for the roles they will assume in adulthood. Girls follow behind, helping their mothers carry baskets of maize or firewood, learning the precision and balance required to navigate both tasks and social expectations. From a young age, every action is a subtle instruction, teaching endurance, awareness, and responsibility. The markets begin to stir with life. Merchants unfurl mats or hang cloths, revealing brightly colored feathers, woven textiles, polished obsidian knives, clay vessels, and baskets of fresh fruits and vegetables. The smell of roasted cacao mingles with the aroma of fresh tortillas and the tang of lake water, creating a tapestry of scents that define the sensory experience of the city. Merchants call out to passers-by, voices rising and falling in carefully modulated tones to attract attention without disrupting the subtle rhythms of social interaction. Buyers and sellers engage in negotiation, their words guided by social conventions, hierarchy, and respect. Every interaction is a delicate balance, a negotiation not just of price but of honor and trust. Alongside the markets, artisans begin their daily work. Potters spin wheels to shape clay into functional and ceremonial vessels, their hands moving with practiced precision. Feather workers assemble elaborate headdresses, layering brilliant quetzal, parrot, and macaw feathers into intricate patterns, each plume carefully placed to convey meaning and status. Weavers manipulate threads into textiles that tell stories or signify social rank, their fingers deft and unerring. Even the simplest crafts are imbued with beauty and significance, reflecting the Aztec understanding that survival and art, functionality and spirituality are inseparable. Farmers and laborers emerge next, moving toward the fields and chinampas that sustain the city. The chinampas, floating gardens built on a lattice of reeds and soil, are a marvel of ingenuity. They provide a continuous supply of maize, beans, squash and flowers, and even support fish and small waterfowl that coexist with the crops. Farmers check the irrigation channels, ensuring that water flows evenly and that soil remains fertile. They remove weeds, tend young plants, and carefully harvest mature crops, all with a keen awareness of the delicate balance between human labor and the natural world. The rhythm of their work is meditative, yet exacting, a dialogue between effort, knowledge, and patience. In the temples, priests and temple attendants begin the morning rituals. The Grand Temple of Huitzilopochtli dominates the city skyline, its twin staircases reaching toward the heavens. Incense burns, smoke curling upward in graceful spirals, carrying prayers to the gods. Drums and flutes echo softly across the plaza, their rhythms measured and deliberate. Priests move with solemn precision, performing acts of devotion that are as much about maintaining cosmic order as they are about honoring deities. Even for an observer, there is a palpable sense of reverence, a feeling that every sound, every motion is meaningful and connected to the vast web of the universe. Warriors begin their training in designated grounds, their movements precise and disciplined. Young men, barely more than boys, lift wooden swords embedded with sharp obsidian, practicing strikes, blocks, and stances with tireless repetition. Their training is both physical and mental, instilling not only strength but focus, strategy, and courage. They learn that survival is not solely a matter of skill, but also of timing, awareness, and understanding the broader context of social and spiritual obligations. Every movement is a lesson, every repetition a step toward mastery. Meanwhile, the city's social rhythm continues in quieter ways. Families gather for breakfast, sharing meals prepared over small fires in humble kitchens. The smell of freshly ground maize mingles with roasted chilies and the sweet aroma of chocolate made from roasted cacao. Conversation flows softly, passing down knowledge, wisdom, and small narratives that shape moral understanding and social awareness. Elders instruct children in the proper way to greet, the importance of respect, and the consequences of action. Life in Tenochtitlan is deeply communal. Even the most ordinary acts are imbued with social and spiritual significance. As the sun rises higher, heat begins to permeate the city. People adjust their pace, seeking shade where possible and moderating their movements. Laborers pause briefly to drink water, children retreat under eaves, and merchants drape cloths over their goods. The intensity of life is both demanding and rhythmic, a constant negotiation with environmental conditions. The Aztecs understood that survival required not only skill and labor, but also attentiveness to the body, to the elements, and to the larger cycles of day, season, and festival. Festivals and religious observances punctuate daily life, adding layers of ritual and spectacle. Even small neighborhood ceremonies reinforce social cohesion and spiritual awareness. Families make offerings at household altars, maize, flowers, incense, acknowledging the gods and ancestors, maintaining harmony in both domestic and communal spheres. Music and chant accompany these acts, creating a shared experience that links individual devotion to the collective rhythm of society. Every gesture, however modest, is part of a broader tapestry of cosmic and social order. The midday hours bring an intensification of activity. Markets bustle as merchants and buyers engage more vigorously. Artisans work in hotter, brighter conditions, and farmers in the fields labor under the sun. Sweat glistens on foreheads, dust rises from pathways, and the aroma of cooking fires grows richer. The city is alive, its energy tangible, yet there is a careful organization underlying the apparent chaos. Each individual, aware of their responsibilities and position, contributes to a larger, living structure. Even in the busiest moments, the Aztecs maintain an extraordinary attention to detail, balancing work, social obligation, and ritual observance. Education, observation, and imitation continue seamlessly. Children practice their lessons between chores and play, learning counting, history, moral stories, and ritual chants. Boys shadow their fathers or older men to learn trade skills or martial techniques, while girls assist in weaving, cooking, and domestic responsibilities. The boundary between work, learning, and recreation is fluid. Every action serves multiple purposes, training the mind, body, and spirit simultaneously. Mistakes are corrected gently but firmly, and successes are quietly acknowledged, instilling a sense of discipline and self-awareness that will carry throughout life. In the late afternoon, the city begins a subtle transition. Labor slows, markets enter quieter periods, and the intensity of the sun wanes. Shadows lengthen across plazas and causeways, reflecting the intricate interplay of light, stone, and water. Canoes glide with the ease of practiced hands, carrying both goods and passengers back to their homes. Families begin preparations for the evening meal, combining remaining ingredients from the day's harvest into tortillas, tamales, soups, or roasted foods. The air is rich with aroma, signaling both sustenance and comfort after a long day of activity. Evening rituals begin to unfold as the sun descends. Temples are illuminated with fires and candles, priests perform devotions, and music carries across neighborhoods in soft waves. Families gather, children listen, and communities reaffirm their bonds. Life in Tenochtitlan is both practical and spiritual, each reinforcing the other in an elegant continuous cycle. The Aztecs understood that survival required more than physical labor. It demanded attention to social harmony, moral integrity, and spiritual observance. These intertwined systems form the backbone of a civilization capable of sustaining itself in both abundance and adversity. Night arrives, and the city slows once more. Fires are maintained for warmth and light. Sentries patrol quietly, and artisans may continue work in smaller, intimate spaces. Children rest near their parents, absorbing the security and rhythm of family life. Dreams carry lessons, reflections, and omens, and even in rest, life continues to teach. The water of the canals reflects moonlight like silver threads, and the subtle pulse of the city remains perceptible to those who are awake enough to notice it. This is the daily life of Tenochtitlan, immersive, demanding, structured, and profoundly connected to both the natural world and the spiritual cosmos. Each day is a tapestry of labor, learning, devotion, and observation, every action contributing to the delicate balance that sustains the city and its people. Survival is not simply a matter of food or shelter, it is the result of vigilance, skill, social cohesion, and reverence for the forces that govern both earth and sky. The city begins to shift again as the evening deepens. Shadows stretch long over the stone causeways, the water reflecting dimly in the waning light. The scent of smoke, roasted maize, and damp earth lingers like a comforting veil, threading through the city as it prepares for another night. Canoes move quietly through the canals, laden with goods collected from the market earlier, or fish freshly caught in the lake. The gentle lapping of water against wood punctuates the stillness, mingling with the distant calls of night birds and the occasional rustle of animals in reeds along the shore. Here, even in calm, life remains dynamic and alive, a subtle rhythm that requires both attention and respect. Walking through the streets, one can sense the layers of life unfolding simultaneously. Families gather around small fires, their conversations muted but full of meaning. Mothers tend to infants and young children, teaching them the soft melodies and chants that are as much instruction as comfort. Fathers might be repairing simple tools, checking weapons, or teaching older children practical skills that will be essential for survival. These interactions are quiet, unhurried, yet every gesture carries significance. Even a moment of stillness is filled with observation, learning, and reflection, a lesson in attentiveness that would be essential for anyone attempting to survive here. In the distance, the temples stand illuminated by firelight, their stone faces catching the glow and creating shifting, almost living patterns of light and shadow. Priests continue their duties, moving with deliberate care, performing acts of devotion that maintain not only spiritual balance, but the social and political order of the city. The sound of flutes and drums rises softly, threading through the plazas and neighborhoods, guiding the collective awareness of the citizens. Even if one is a visitor to this world, the sense of order, devotion, and vigilance is palpable. It seeps into the body, slowing the mind while sharpening awareness. The night is also a time for reflection and preparation. Farmers and laborers who have returned from fields or chinampas check their tools, maintain their small fires, and plan for the coming day. The chinampas themselves, still and shimmering under the moon, are alive with subtle activity. Water levels are observed, plants inspected for signs of disease or stress, and fish or waterfowl that coexist within the gardens are noted carefully. Each action is part of a delicate ecological balance, an ongoing negotiation between human labor and natural abundance. Survival here is never passive, it is constant, methodical, and intimately connected to both knowledge and awareness. Even the younger members of society remain engaged in small ways. Boys might rehearse the movements of warriors with miniature wooden swords, or practice running and dodging to improve agility. Girls might help weave small textiles, grind pigments for paint, or tend to small household gardens. Through play and practice, children learn the exacting rhythms of labor, social expectation, and devotion. Each misstep is corrected, each success quietly noted. To live in this world, even as a child, requires continuous attention, a careful blending of curiosity, respect, and skill. The calm of night is punctuated by moments of vigilance. Sentries along the canals and at the city's perimeters move quietly, listening for sounds that might indicate danger. Ripples in the water, the distant shuffle of feet, or the glint of moonlight on metal. Life in Tenochtitlan was never without its risks. Predation, disease, accidents, and social consequences were constant companions. The awareness of these risks is built into every movement, every interaction, and every observation. Even the simplest tasks, crossing a causeway, navigating a busy market, or tending crops, require awareness and care. It is a world of subtle tension and extraordinary discipline, where the ordinary and extraordinary intertwine seamlessly. Inside homes, the lessons of the day continue quietly. Children repeat chants or prayers, learning the sacred and historical narratives that shape Aztec understanding. They listen as elders recount stories of gods, ancestors, and heroic deeds, absorbing moral and practical lessons embedded in myth. Learning in this society is never separate from life. It flows continuously through observation, participation, and repetition. Even small acts such as helping to grind maize or arrange flowers for an offering are forms of instruction and integration into the larger rhythm of the city. As the night deepens further, the city enters its most subtle phase of activity. Fires flicker softly, illuminating faces and objects, creating a gentle dance of shadow and light. The smell of smoke, earth, and food carries faintly through the streets, grounding the inhabitants in their surroundings. Canoes drift silently through the canals, carrying passengers or goods from one neighborhood to another. Even the movements of the wind, rustling leaves and reeds, contribute to the living symphony of the city. Every sound, every movement, is noticed and interpreted by those attuned to the rhythms of Tenochtitlan. The temples, though less crowded at this hour, continue their quiet vigilance. Priests maintain altars, polish stone surfaces, and observe minor rituals designed to sustain divine favor and social order. Even the smallest offerings, flowers, grains, or candles, carry profound significance. The Aztecs understood that life was a constant negotiation between human effort and cosmic balance. Survival required not only physical endurance but moral awareness, social engagement, and spiritual devotion. Every citizen, whether engaged in labor, craft, learning, or devotion, was a participant in this continuous, delicate equilibrium. Across the city, the interplay of light, shadow, and water creates a meditative, hypnotic quality. Reflections in the canals mirror the sky, birds, and distant fires, creating illusions of movement and depth. The quiet lapping of water, the soft rustle of leaves, and the occasional human sound combine into a rhythm that is both soothing and alerting. One begins to notice the subtle interconnectedness of life here. A small action in one corner can ripple through families, communities, and even the ecosystem itself. Awareness, attentiveness, and responsiveness are not just virtues, they are necessities for survival. Even the work of artisans and craftspersons continues at night. Feather workers might finish delicate headdresses or ceremonial pieces, their hands precise and patient under the soft glow of lamps. Potters refine the final shapes of vessels, ensuring they are functional, beautiful, and spiritually harmonious. Music and chant flow softly through homes and neighborhoods, reinforcing rhythm, harmony, and attention. These activities, though quiet, sustain the city's vitality, preserving knowledge, skill, and culture for the next day and for generations to come. As the night deepens into the small hours, the city rests lightly but remains alert. Families sleep near one another, finding warmth, comfort, and protection. Dreams are observed and interpreted as omens or lessons, guiding behavior and reflection. Even while resting, the Aztec worldview maintains a constant connection to the cycles of life, the movements of the cosmos, and the responsibilities that come with membership in a complex, demanding society. Sleep is not mere escape, it is an extension of vigilance, reflection, and preparation for the next day's challenges. Here, in Tenochtitlan, the line between work, devotion, learning, and rest blurs. Every hour carries meaning, every gesture carries weight, and every action contributes to the delicate balance of life. For an outsider, surviving even a single day would be overwhelming. The intensity, discipline, and awareness required are constant, yet within these demands lies profound beauty, order, and human ingenuity. The city is alive, not merely in a physical sense, but as a living network of relationships, knowledge, craft, and devotion, a continuous rhythm of survival, learning, and reverence. As dawn once again brushes the horizon, Tenochtitlan awakens in its intricate, mesmerizing rhythm. The lake reflects the pale gold of the sun, rippling gently beneath the canoes gliding across its surface. The soundscape is alive yet soft, the water lapping against wooden hulls, the distant calls of birds greeting the day, and the subtle creak of reed bridges as early risers cross them. In these first moments, the city is both vibrant and meditative, a place where the pulse of life is omnipresent yet not overwhelming, carrying the observer slowly into its rhythm. Families begin their day in small, humble homes made from reeds, mud, and wood, their thatched roofs swaying slightly in the morning breeze. Mothers stir the coals in small hearths, preparing food for breakfast: warm tortillas, maize porridge, and occasionally roasted beans or chili. The smell is comforting and grounding, a familiar anchor in a life defined by vigilance and routine. Fathers prepare their tools, checking wooden plows, obsidian blades, fishing nets, or weapons, depending on their work. Children, still drowsy from dreams filled with lessons or omens, are guided gently into the routines that will shape their day. The marketplace begins to stir in earnest. Merchants arrange their goods meticulously: baskets of maize, beans, chili peppers, and squash, polished obsidian knives and tools, intricately woven textiles and bright, colorful feathers, small offerings of flowers or figurines for home altars. Every item is not just a commodity, but a story, a message of identity, skill, or devotion. Buyers move with purpose, negotiating not only prices but social dynamics. Respect, awareness, and careful observation guide every interaction. One misstep, a disrespectful word, an improper gesture can ripple outward, carrying consequences both immediate and subtle. Here, survival is not only about acquiring resources, but also about reading the world with precision and awareness. Beyond the market, artisans and craftspersons begin their delicate work. Featherworkers lay a quetzal, macaw, and parrot feathers into ceremonial headdresses, carefully selecting colors and patterns to convey social rank, devotion, or achievement. Potters shape clay into vessels, each pattern and form meticulously considered for both function and spiritual significance. Weavers manipulate threads into textiles with geometric patterns that tell stories of gods, history, or lineage. Even the simplest crafts require discipline, observation, and a constant awareness of purpose. There is no casual creation here. Every action is deliberate, every movement meaningful. Farmers rise early to tend the chinampas, the floating gardens that form the lifeblood of the city. Each step, each gesture is guided by centuries of accumulated knowledge about water levels, soil fertility, and the interplay of plants and fish. The maize stalks, beans, squash, and flowers grow in a delicate balance, supported by a rhythm of care and attention that requires patience and awareness. The Aztecs understood the intricate connection between human labor and natural cycles, cultivating not only crops, but also an intimate understanding of the ecosystem itself. Even the smallest oversight, a missed irrigation channel, a neglected plant, could have ripple effects, threatening sustenance and stability. Warriors move to their training grounds as the sun rises higher, their bodies glistening with sweat under the intense heat. Young men practice strikes and defensive maneuvers with wooden swords embedded with obsidian blades, their movements honed through repetition and instruction. Every step, block, and swing carries dual-purpose mastery of physical skill and reinforcement of discipline, awareness and courage. They learn that survival and honor are inseparable, that skill alone is insufficient without understanding timing, environment, and social duty. Even a single misstep in training could become a lesson etched into memory, teaching caution, precision, and respect for consequence. Meanwhile, the city hums with subtler currents of life. Children recite prayers, historical narratives, or moral lessons, absorbing knowledge that will guide them in adulthood. They imitate adults, practicing trades, movements, and social interactions in games that mirror the real world. Education is constant, flowing seamlessly through work, ritual, and play. Mistakes are gently corrected, success is quietly acknowledged, and every observation is an opportunity to internalize lessons of survival, social nuance, and ethical behavior. By midday, the sun bears down on the city with relentless intensity. Merchants drape cloth over goods, laborers pause in shaded corners, and families rest briefly, hydrating and sharing small portions of food. The heat is not just physical, it is a test of endurance, patience, and awareness. Life in Tenochtitlan requires continuous negotiation with the environment, pacing work, monitoring health, and maintaining the rhythms that sustain body and mind. This attentiveness, deeply ingrained from childhood, is both protective and instructive. Every day teaches the body, the senses, and the mind how to endure, how to balance effort and rest, how to survive in a world where the ordinary demands constant vigilance. Religious and cultural rituals punctuate this daily rhythm. Even minor festivals or neighborhood ceremonies carry layered significance, intertwining spiritual devotion, social cohesion, and personal discipline. Offerings of maize, flowers, or small figurines at household altars acknowledge ancestors and gods, reinforcing a moral and cosmic order that is as essential to life as food or water. Music and chant accompany these acts, soft but insistent, guiding participants into a collective rhythm that reinforces connection, awareness, and attentiveness. In the Aztec worldview, no action is trivial. Every gesture, however small, participates in maintaining the balance of the cosmos. As the afternoon advances, the city reaches a different kind of intensity. Markets bustle with increased urgency. Artisans work in hotter conditions, and fields demand attention before the heat wanes. Sweat glistens, dust rises, and aromas of cooking mingle with the natural sense of earth, water, and plants. Yet, underlying this apparent chaos is extraordinary order. Each citizen understands their role, their obligations, and the consequences of action. Survival, here, is less about brute strength or luck, and more about skillful attention, disciplined action, and continuous learning. The city functions as an intricate web of interdependent actions, each movement supporting life, harmony, and continuity. As evening descends, shadows lengthen, cooling the city slightly. Fires are lit in homes and public spaces, casting flickering light across walls, plazas, and canals. Families gather to prepare and share the evening meal, combining remaining resources into tortillas, soups, roasted vegetables, or small portions of meat. Conversations flow quietly, reflecting on the day, recounting minor successes or challenges, and passing down wisdom to the next generation. Even leisure is instructive. Games, songs, or chants carry embedded lessons about observation, morality, and social hierarchy. Night brings the final, subtle layer of activity. Sentries patrol, listening for disturbances in the streets or canals. Some artisans continue their delicate work by firelight, finishing headdresses, vessels, or textiles. Families rest, but remain lightly alert, attuned to the city's pulse and the demands of survival. Dreams are observed, interpreted as omens or guidance for future action, and discussed carefully to inform decisions. Sleep is continuous with wakefulness. It is a necessary pause, yes, but also an extension of learning, reflection, and awareness. Even in rest, life is a constant dialogue with risk, duty, and opportunity. In this world, the line between survival, work, devotion, and education is fluid. Every hour, every gesture, every breath is part of a complex system of balance, attention, and purpose. The Aztecs understood that human life was fragile, but it could thrive through careful observation, discipline, and connection to both society and cosmos. For a visitor, the intensity would be overwhelming, a life of constant awareness, measured movement, and social precision. But for those born into it, this was rhythm, beauty, and continuity, woven into every corner of the city, every reflection in the canals, every note of song or chant. This is the Aztec world in full, a city alive with sound, smell, motion, and ritual, a society governed by the twin forces of devotion and discipline, a civilization in which survival demanded awareness, skill, and moral acuity at every moment. Each day is a story, each action a thread in a tapestry of cosmic and human balance, every breath a testament to the intricate, unforgiving, yet profoundly beautiful rhythm of life. As the night gradually surrenders to dawn, the soft glow of first light seeps across Tenochtitlan, touching the towering temples, the calm canals, and the labyrinth of causeways that weave the city together. The reflection of the sky and the water is liquid gold, moving gently with each ripple caused by passing canoes or the quiet current of the lake. This city, floating atop the waters, feels simultaneously vast and intimate, a living organism, pulsing with thousands of interconnected lives. Even as the city stirs to life, there is a profound calm, an undercurrent of rhythm that guides every movement, every gesture, every breath. From the homes that line the canals, the first stirrings of families emerge. Mothers tend small fires, grinding maize for porridge, stirring pots, and arranging morsels of food with meticulous care. Fathers rise from their mats, stretching and inspecting the tools that will sustain their labor for the day. Obsidian blades, wooden plows, fishing nets, or weapons, depending on their responsibilities. Children, half awake from dreams that may have been filled with the figures of gods or heroes, are guided gently through the early rituals of hygiene, nourishment, and preparation. Even the simplest acts, washing, arranging food, checking water containers, carry layers of meaning and purpose in this world. The marketplaces begin their slow crescendo. Merchants unfurl brightly colored mats or drape cloths to reveal feathers, finely woven textiles, polished obsidian knives, and clay vessels. The scent of freshly roasted cacao mingles with the aroma of tortillas, roasted beans, and the tang of smoke from cooking fires. Buyers arrive with careful awareness, negotiating not only over goods, but over social proprieties. To speak too loudly, gesture improperly, or misunderstand a custom could disrupt relationships and bring subtle but real consequences. In this society, survival is inseparable from observation, awareness, and careful social navigation. The marketplace is more than commerce. It is a stage on which the delicate dance of human connection, social order, and economic necessity unfolds in real time. Nearby, artisans begin their labor, hands steady and minds focused. Feather workers layer brilliant plumes into ceremonial headdresses, each feather selected for color, texture, and symbolic meaning. Potters turn wheels, shaping clay into vessels designed for everyday use, ceremonial offerings, or sacred purposes. Weavers manipulate threads into patterns that convey lineage, status, and devotion, sometimes combining geometric precision with narrative symbols. Every movement, every choice is deliberate. In this city, even beauty is functional, and every artifact carries embedded lessons about survival, skill, and cosmic order. Outside the central plazas, farmers and laborers rise toward the chinampas, the floating gardens that sustain the city. Their work is delicate, exacting, and continuous. Irrigation channels must be maintained, roots must be nurtured, crops and fish coexist in a balance that requires deep observation and understanding. Each plant, each fish, each plot of soil is carefully monitored, for any misstep can ripple through the ecosystem and disrupt the delicate balance of sustenance. In the Aztec worldview, survival is not merely about food, it is about knowledge, attention, and careful management of the environment. Warriors assemble at training grounds, their movements precise and intense under the rising sun. Young men, barely more than boys, lift wooden swords embedded with obsidian and practice strikes and blocks with rigorous discipline. Their training is both physical and moral, teaching courage, endurance, strategy, and awareness of consequence. Each repetition reinforces a mental framework in which action, timing, and observation are inseparable. In a society where warfare and ritual sacrifice are intertwined with survival and honor, mastery of these skills is essential. Mistakes are lessons, and repeated failures teach patience, respect, and humility. Education in this world is seamless and relentless. Boys and girls learn by observation, imitation, and repetition. Boys follow their fathers, learning trades, hunting, or combat techniques. Girls assist mothers, weaving, cooking, tending gardens, and managing domestic spaces. Even play is structured to reinforce practical skills and moral awareness. Children are never idle. Every movement, every choice, every gesture is instructive. They internalize the lessons of duty, vigilance, respect, and patience, understanding that even small lapses can have significant consequences in a society so tightly woven with ritual, hierarchy, and practical necessity. As the sun climbs, the heat becomes an omnipresent factor. Merchants stretch cloth over goods for protection, laborers pause to drink and rest in shade, and families modulate their movements to endure the relentless intensity. Life in Tenochtitlan demands constant adaptation. The body, the senses, and the mind must remain alert to the environment, social dynamics, and physical exertion. There is beauty in the discipline, but also a persistent tension. Survival is never passive. Even the most ordinary tasks, carrying water, grinding maize, weaving textiles, require awareness, skill, and careful management of energy and resources. Religious life interweaves with daily labor. Even minor ceremonies carry profound significance. Families make offerings at household altars, placing maize, flowers, or small figurines with careful intention. Music, chant, and the soft crackle of incense guide participants into a subtle rhythm that links human life to the divine. The Aztecs understood that cosmic balance was fragile, and even small deviations could have consequences. Observing the devotion of citizens, one can sense how morality, duty, and survival are intertwined. There is no clear separation between the practical and the sacred. Every act of life participates in a broader cosmic order. As midday yields to afternoon, the intensity of the city shifts. Markets become busier as people return from errands, artisans continue their work under hotter light, and fields demand attention before the sun begins its decline. Every citizen understands their responsibilities and the consequences of action or inattention. Life is orchestrated in a complex rhythm of labor, learning, devotion, and vigilance. It is not chaotic, it is precise, demanding, and unforgiving to the inattentive. In Tenochtitlan, survival requires constant engagement, not brute force, but careful observation, skill, and social acuity. Evening arrives slowly, and the city undergoes a subtle transformation. Fires are lit in homes and public spaces, casting flickering shadows that make the familiar strange, even magical. Families gather to prepare and share meals, combining the day's harvest with stored or purchased ingredients. Conversation flows softly, sharing stories of the day, recounting lessons, and passing down wisdom. Children listen, absorbing both narrative and moral instruction, learning the subtleties of social behavior, survival, and religious observance. Even leisure is instructive. Games, music, and storytelling are integrated into the teaching of awareness, patience, and moral understanding. Nightfall brings the final layer of the city's living rhythm. Sentries patrol the streets and canals with quiet vigilance. Artisans may continue working by firelight, completing intricate headdresses, vessels, or textiles. Families sleep lightly, attuned to the city's subtle pulse. Dreams carry lessons, warnings, and guidance, reinforcing the constant flow of awareness and preparation. Sleep is not passive, it is another form of engagement with survival, learning, and reflection. Tenochtitlan, at every hour, reveals itself as a city of immense complexity. Life is never simple or static. It is a continuous negotiation with the environment, social dynamics, physical endurance, and spiritual observance. To survive here is to move with precision, observe constantly, and act with both awareness and discipline. Outsiders, untrained and unaccustomed to these demands, would find even a single day exhausting, disorienting, and fraught with invisible dangers. Yet within these demands lies beauty, rhythm, and continuity, a civilization capable of sustaining its people, culture, and cosmic worldview with remarkable ingenuity. The first hints of dawn stretch across Tenochtitlan, touching the stone temples and reed-lined canals in a delicate gold. The water reflects both sky and city, as if the boundaries between the natural and the constructed world are blurred. Light moves across the city gradually, stretching shadows and creating soft reflections in the rippling water. At this hour, the city feels both vast and intimate. It is alive, yet not in a frantic sense. Life here moves in measured, deliberate rhythms, guided by observation, awareness, and unbroken routine. In the small homes along the canals, families awaken with the city. Mothers stir small fires, grinding maize for porridge or preparing simple tortillas. They arrange offerings on household altars, scattering maize kernels or flowers in quiet devotion, ensuring both spiritual and social continuity. Fathers rise to inspect tools, sharpen blades, or ready the materials they will need for work in the fields, the chinampas, or marketplaces. Children stir, guided gently into the motions of morning preparation. Even the simplest acts, washing, feeding, organizing, carry lessons of patience, observation, and care. The streets begin to fill with the quiet rhythms of human activity. Merchants arrange goods for the day's trade: baskets of maize, beans, chili peppers, fish, feathers, woven cloth, and polished obsidian tools. The marketplace is not just a place of exchange, but a living system of social and economic knowledge. Buyers observe, negotiate, and interact carefully, balancing practicality with social etiquette. One misstep, an insult, a careless gesture, or even a moment of inattentiveness can have consequences that ripple through social networks. To survive here, even temporarily, requires acute awareness, social intelligence, and constant observation. The artisans begin their work alongside the early commerce. Feather workers assemble ceremonial headdresses, selecting each quetzal or parrot feather for color, texture, and meaning. Potters shape clay into vessels, inscribing designs that convey both practical information and spiritual significance. Weavers sit cross-legged, intertwining threads into textiles that encode lineage, stories, and devotion. Each movement, each placement, each rhythm is deliberate. The Aztecs understood that every object, every act, was simultaneously functional, social, and spiritual. There was no division between necessity and devotion. Both were inseparable strands of daily life. Beyond the central districts, the farmers rise to tend the chinampas, the floating gardens that form the city's backbone. The maize, beans, squash, flowers, and even small fish coexist in a delicate balance that demands constant care. Irrigation channels are monitored, routes inspected, and leaves carefully observed for signs of disease or stress. A missed plant or neglected channel could ripple through the entire ecosystem, affecting both food supply and social stability. Here, survival is a complex negotiation with the environment, requiring not just labor but knowledge, attentiveness, and precision. Meanwhile, young men and boys move to their training grounds, practicing martial skills with wooden swords embedded with sharp obsidian. Each movement is purposeful, disciplined, and repeated to perfection. They learn that survival requires both physical skill and mental acuity. Timing, observation, and strategic thinking are as crucial as strength or speed. Mistakes are corrected patiently but firmly, reinforcing lessons of patience, endurance, and social expectation. In a society where warfare, social hierarchy, and ritual intertwine, mastery of these skills is inseparable from survival and honor. Education in Tenochtitlan is continuous and immersive. Boys learn trades, combat, and social navigation. Girls learn weaving, food preparation, household management, and spiritual observances. Observation, imitation, and repetition are constant. Children internalize not only skills but the moral and social codes of their society. Even play as instructive games replicate patterns of labor, strategy, and social interaction. Every gesture, every movement, every decision becomes a lesson in survival, awareness, and social cohesion. As the sun climbs higher, the city intensifies. Merchants speak louder, haggling over goods. Artisans work under harsher light, maintaining focus and precision. Laborers navigate the heat of the day while tending crops, repairing tools, or transporting goods. Even simple acts require strategy, pacing movement, staying hydrated, and carefully managing energy. In Tenochtitlan, survival is not passive. It demands attention to the environment, social relationships, and personal discipline. Even a moment of carelessness can cascade into consequences, reminding inhabitants of the constant vigilance life requires. Religious observance threads through these rhythms. Families make offerings at household altars, place flowers on temple steps, and chant soft prayers. Priests maintain ceremonies at major temples, guiding rituals that sustain the city's moral and cosmic balance. Music and chant infuse daily life, embedding rhythm, social cohesion, and spiritual awareness into every gesture. Here, labor, devotion, and social life are inseparable. Life itself is a ritual, a continuous negotiation between practical survival and cosmic harmony. As midday transitions into afternoon, Tenochtitlan hums with layered activity. Markets bustle, artisans continue their craft, fields demand labor before the heat wanes. Every individual understands their responsibilities and the consequences of action. Observing a single day reveals the extraordinary structure underpinning the apparent chaos. Life is precise, organized, and demanding. Success and survival depend not on strength alone, but on awareness, skill, and adherence to social and cosmic order. Evening brings subtle transformation. Fires flicker across homes and plazas, casting long shadows that make the familiar world seem strange and alive. Families gather to cook and eat, sharing meals and recounting the day's events. Children absorb moral lessons, social norms, and practical knowledge through stories, observation, and participation. Leisure is integrated with instruction songs, games, and stories, all reinforce survival skills, social awareness, and ethical conduct. As night deepens, the city enters a softer rhythm. Sentries patrol quietly, listening for disturbances. Artisans may continue work in small, intimate spaces. Families sleep, but lightly, attuned to the pulse of the city. Dreams carry significance, serving as warnings, guidance, or lessons. Sleep is not passive, it extends the education, awareness, and preparation that define life in Tenochtitlan. Every moment, awake or asleep, is part of a continuous cycle of vigilance, labor, and devotion. Life in Tenochtitlan is therefore immersive, continuous, and unforgiving. Survival requires awareness, skill, discipline, and adherence to social and spiritual norms. Even small lapses can have consequences. Yet within these pressures exists profound beauty, the interplay of light and water, the layered sounds of streets and canals, the rhythm of labor and ritual, and the intricate human networks that sustain the city. Outsiders would struggle immediately with the intensity, the vigilance, and the knowledge required to navigate this complex society. For the inhabitants, it is a world of order, purpose, and deeply integrated life rhythms, where every action resonates across social, ecological, and cosmic dimensions. The city's pulse continues through night, into the first moments of a new day, and life repeats, each cycle reinforcing the lessons, obligations, and rhythms of survival. The Aztecs' remarkable ability to sustain a city on a lake, manage social complexity, maintain cosmic rituals, and integrate daily labor with spiritual awareness is reflected in the precision and continuity of every ordinary moment. Life here is a living curriculum of observation, endurance, moral practice, and attentiveness. A society whose very survival demanded vigilance, discipline, and unity, and whose culture transformed ordinary existence into layered acts of art, devotion, and survival. The city wakes once more, as though Tenochtitlan itself is a living being, stretching slowly in the soft light of dawn. The gold of the sun spreads across the causeways, glinting off the water of the canals, turning ripples into molten reflections. From the floating gardens, the chinampas, the faint murmur of the lake mingles with the occasional splash of fish or the soft scraping of canoe paddles. The early hours are filled with subtle sounds, the cooing of doves nesting on rooftops, the raucous calls of herons flying low across the lake, and the distant, muffled hum of people beginning their day. Every sound has its place, contributing to the city's rhythm, and even the faintest misstep can be noticed by attentive eyes or ears. Inside the reed and mud homes, mothers stoke the small hearths, preparing maize porridge or tortillas for the first meal of the day. The aroma rises and mingles with the cool morning air, softening the edges of the city's stone and wood with a domestic warmth. Children stir from sleep, rubbing eyes and yawning, drawn into the routines of nourishment, washing, and preparation for the day. Fathers move quietly, checking tools, sharpening blades, or organizing simple implements they will use to cultivate the chinampas, fish the lakes, or engage in other forms of labor. Every act, from preparing food to carrying water, is performed with deliberation. There is no room for sloppiness. Life in Tenochtitlan demands awareness and careful attention at all times. The marketplace awakens gradually. Merchants laying out brightly colored textiles, polished obsidian knives, feathers for ceremonial headdresses, and baskets of fruits, beans, and maize begin to call softly to early buyers. The cadence of their voices is measured enough to draw attention without disturbing the delicate balance of interaction. Buyers emerge from the streets, approaching stalls with careful observation, negotiating prices not just with currency or barter, but with subtle gestures, expressions, and understanding of social hierarchy. The market is a living classroom of survival. Each encounter teaches vigilance, observation, and the social intelligence required to navigate the city successfully. Artisans work alongside commerce, moving through precise motions honed over years of training. Feather workers arrange quetzal and parrot feathers into elaborate headdresses, carefully selecting each plume to convey rank, devotion, or achievement. Potters shape clay vessels and figurines, embedding them with symbolic motifs and spiritual significance. Weavers sit cross-legged, threading patterns that tell stories of lineage, morality, and the divine. Even the smallest action is purposeful. Craft is not separate from survival. Each creation carries layers of meaning, connecting the practical, social, and spiritual worlds. Outside the central plazas, farmers rise early to tend the chinampas. They check water levels, adjust irrigation channels, prune young shoots, and ensure the balance between crops, aquatic plants, and small fish is maintained. Life here is an intricate negotiation with nature. Any misstep, a broken channel, a neglected plant, can ripple outward, impacting food supply, labor organization, and even social stability. Survival in Tenochtitlan demands this careful, constant attention, a blend of labor, intelligence, and sensitivity to environmental signals. Meanwhile, young men and boys move toward the training grounds. Wooden swords embedded with obsidian are lifted, swung, and blocked in long, precise sequences. Training is both physical and mental, teaching focus, strategy, timing, and discipline. Mistakes are corrected immediately but carefully, reinforcing lessons about patience, observation, and endurance. In a society where warfare is closely linked with social status, ritual, and spiritual obligation, mastery of these skills is inseparable from honor and survival. Children, too, learn from every movement and observation. Boys shadow fathers or older men, learning trades, combat techniques, and hunting skills. Girls assist mothers weaving, cooking, and managing household responsibilities. Play is also practice, subtly training reflexes, attention, and social skills. Observation, imitation, and repetition are constant, blending seamlessly into work and ritual. There is no distinction between learning and living. Survival is inseparable from daily practice. By midday, the sun rises high, heating the streets and alleys. Laborers pause briefly in shade to rest and hydrate. Merchants stretch cloths over their goods to protect them from sunlight, and families pace their chores with attention to energy management. Even simple tasks, carrying water, grinding maize, weaving textiles, require planning, stamina, and careful observation. Life is continuous, layered, and demanding, yet within it lies a meditative rhythm, the repetition of labor, the flow of commerce, and the intertwining of devotion and duty create a city alive with both motion and order. Religious practice interweaves seamlessly with daily life. Household altars receive offerings of maize, flowers, or small figurines. Temple priests perform rituals to maintain cosmic and social balance, their measured steps and chants echoing softly across plazas and streets. Music, drums, and soft flutes thread through the city, guiding attention and infusing every act with purpose. Devotion is practical, social, and spiritual, inseparable from the labor, study, and interactions of each day. As afternoon approaches, activity intensifies. Markets grow busier, artisans work under harsher light, and farmers labor to maintain their crops before the sun wanes. Social, environmental, and physical awareness is constant. A misstep or lapse in attention can have far-reaching consequences. Life in Tenochtitlan is a continuous exercise in vigilance, endurance, and precision. Every movement, grinding maize, weaving, balancing a canoe across the canal, is part of a delicate orchestration of labor, survival, and social cohesion. Evening brings a softening of energy. Fires in homes and public spaces flicker across the stone and reed structures, casting long, dancing shadows. Families gather to share the evening meal: tortillas, roasted vegetables, maize porridge, beans, sometimes fish. Conversation flows quietly, teaching children social rules, moral conduct, and historical narratives. Storytelling is embedded with lessons about observation, survival, and ethical behavior. Even leisure is instructional, blending narrative music and games to reinforce learning, reflection, and social cohesion. Night deepens, yet the city never sleeps entirely. Sentries patrol the streets and canals, listening for disturbances. Artisans may work quietly by firelight, completing delicate items of craft. Families sleep lightly, remaining attuned to the rhythm of the city, the flow of water, the distant sounds of animals, and the subtle movements of neighbors. Dreams carry meaning. They are interpreted as omens or guidance for behavior. Sleep is part of the continuum of vigilance, learning, and preparation for the next day. Life in Tenochtitlan is immersive, continuous, and exacting. Survival requires constant observation, disciplined action, moral awareness, and skill. Outsiders, untrained and unaware of the city's rhythms and social codes, would struggle immediately, finding both the labor and the vigilance overwhelming. Even children are trained from an early age to integrate learning, play, and work seamlessly into a single rhythm of life. Every cycle of day and night repeats this careful balance. Each household, street, and canal participates in a network of survival, devotion, and social cohesion. Labor, ritual, education, and observation are woven together, forming a living tapestry of order, discipline, and beauty. The city is simultaneously fragile and resilient. Fragile in the sense that individual mistakes can ripple outward. Resilient in the sense that systems of labor, ritual, and social awareness sustain life and culture with extraordinary precision. In the quiet hours before dawn, Tenochtitlan becomes almost meditative. The light of the moon reflects off the canals, the faint smoke from cooking fires drifts upward, and the city breathes gently. Sentries, artisans, and families maintain subtle vigilance. Every sound, movement, and gesture is noticed by those attuned to the rhythms of life. Survival in this city is a continuous act of attention to people, to environment, to ritual, and to cosmic balance. From this perspective, it becomes clear why life in Tenochtitlan would be nearly impossible for outsiders. Every moment requires skill, observation, endurance, and awareness. Every gesture has social and spiritual significance. Even ordinary acts, washing, cooking, tending a plant, require precision and attention. Yet for those born into it, this life is a continuum of beauty, learning, and rhythm. A city alive not only with sound, smell, and motion, but with order, meaning, and shared purpose. The pulse of the city continues hour by hour, day by day, season by season, integrating labor, ritual, education, and family life into a seamless flow. Festivals, ceremonies, and public obligations punctuate daily labor. Markets, temples, and chinampas all function as stages in which the interconnectedness of survival, devotion, and social cohesion is made visible. The intensity of daily life is matched only by the depth of skill, knowledge, and moral awareness required to maintain it. Even in sleep, life continues. Dreams, omens, and reflection serve as instruction and guidance. The city's canals mirror the sky, the temples reach toward the heavens, and every home, street, and garden participates in a rhythm that sustains both survival and society. Living in Tenochtitlan is an exercise in attentiveness, endurance, and balance, a civilization in which every hour, every action, every breath contributes to the maintenance of life, order, and cosmic harmony. As the first light of morning spreads across Tenochtitlan, the city stirs with subtle rhythm, each household awakening in its own measured cadence. Nobles rise early, their homes larger and more structured than the reed and mud dwellings of commoners, yet the demands of attention, ritual, and social expectation are no less exacting. A noble matron tends her household altar first, arranging flowers, maize, and small figurines to honor gods and ancestors, her movements deliberate and unhurried, yet precise. The smell of incense curls upward, mingling with the faint aroma of maize porridge cooking over small hearths. Even in the quiet, the household pulses with order, attention, and subtle expectation. In the kitchens, women of noble status prepare food not only for sustenance, but also for ritual presentation. They measure portions carefully, grind maize with practiced hands, and arrange vegetables and beans with aesthetic precision. Every act reflects both domestic management and social performance. Children of noble families rise, guided through routines of washing, grooming, and recitation of prayers or historical narratives. These early lessons embed social awareness, discipline, and moral guidance, preparing them for the responsibilities of rank, duty, and public scrutiny. Boys may practice martial movements or exercises, while girls rehearse weaving techniques, learning patterns that will later signify status and achievement. Outside, the streets of the city hum quietly with movement. Commoners begin their day in smaller, more modest homes. Mothers stoke hearths and prepare simple meals, while fathers ready tools for work in fields, gardens, or workshops. Children rise to join parents in small tasks, grinding maize, gathering water, tending small gardens, internalizing skills, patience, and the rhythm of labor from the earliest age. Even these ordinary actions carry lessons of survival observation, timing, coordination, and endurance. A slip in judgment, a missed detail, or inattentive labor could ripple outward, affecting the household's well-being or status in the local community. The marketplace awakens gradually, a subtle crescendo of sound and color. Merchants arrange goods with care, baskets of maize, beans, and squash, bundles of chili peppers, freshly caught fish, woven textiles, and feathers for ceremonial attire. Buyers approach cautiously, observing social cues, negotiating respectfully, and measuring both value and propriety. Social hierarchy is ever present. A buyer must understand not only the price but the proper tone, gesture, and timing to maintain favor and avoid offense. Even the smallest error can have practical or reputational consequences. The market is simultaneously a hub of commerce, education, and social negotiation. Artisans, meanwhile, engage in their intricate labor with the quiet focus of long practice. Feather workers layer quetzal, macaw, and parrot feathers into elaborate ceremonial headdresses, selecting each plume with care for color, texture, and symbolic meaning. Potters shape clay vessels and figurines, ensuring each item balances functionality, aesthetics, and spiritual significance. Weavers manipulate threads into intricate patterns, encoding stories of lineage, moral codes, and divine narratives into each textile. These acts of creation demand constant attention, patience, and skill. In Tenochtitlan, even beauty is a product of labor, observation, and devotion, and every craft carries lessons in survival and social function. Outside the central districts, farmers move toward the chinampas. Water channels glisten in the morning light, and each plot is monitored with painstaking care. Maize stalks, beans, squash, and flowers are inspected for signs of stress or disease. Fish in the canals are observed as an integral part of the agricultural ecosystem. Each action contributes to a balance between human labor and nature. Neglect, error, or oversight could affect food supply and the stability of the community. Survival is embedded in knowledge, observation, and the precise execution of daily routines. At the training grounds, young men practice martial arts under the watchful eye of instructors. Wooden swords embedded with obsidian blades are swung with precision. Stances, blocks, and strikes are repeated endlessly. Every repetition teaches awareness, timing, and control. Mistakes are corrected immediately, reinforcing lessons in patience, strategy, and endurance. In a society where warfare is tied to social hierarchy and ritual obligation, martial skill is inseparable from survival, honor, and public recognition. Children are immersed in education from the moment they wake. Boys learn trades, combat techniques, and social navigation. Girls learn weaving, cooking, and household management. Play is simultaneously practice, teaching strategy, observation, and reflexes. Observation, imitation, and repetition are constant. There is no separation between work, play, or learning. All contribute to the child's capacity to survive, succeed, and fulfill their role within the social and spiritual order. As the sun rises higher, heat becomes an active challenge. Merchants drape coverings over goods, laborers seek shade to rest briefly, and families manage energy and hydration carefully. Life in Tenochtitlan demands constant awareness of the body, environment, and task at hand. Every movement is deliberate, every choice carries consequence. Even the simplest tasks, carrying water, grinding maize, weaving textiles, require attention, endurance, and rhythm. Religious practice continues alongside labor. Household altars receive offerings. Priests maintain rituals in the temples, ensuring cosmic and social balance. Music, chant, and incense thread through streets and homes, guiding focus, infusing labor with meaning, and sustaining moral and social order. Life is inseparable from devotion. Labor, social engagement, and spiritual awareness are deeply entwined, forming a continuous practice of vigilance, discipline, and purpose. Afternoon brings heightened activity. Markets grow crowded. Artisans work in the hot light. Fields demand attention before sunset. Every action is observed and measured. Survival requires skill, endurance, and attention. The environment, social expectations, and physical labor converge, creating a complex, continuous system of observation, action, and reflection. Evening softens the city's rhythm. Fires glow in homes and public spaces, casting flickering shadows across stone, water, and reed. Families share meals, recount the day, and teach children lessons in morality, observation, and survival. Storytelling, song, and play reinforce practical knowledge, social norms, and spiritual awareness. Even leisure is purposeful. A game, a story, or a chant carries lessons of vigilance, patience, and reflection. Nightfall deepens, yet the city never truly sleeps. Sentries patrol quietly. Artisans work by lamplight to complete intricate pieces. Families sleep lightly, attuned to the city's subtle pulse. Every sound, the ripple of water, distant animal calls, murmurs of neighbors, is noted. Dreams carry guidance, warning, and instruction. Sleep is not passive, it extends learning, reflection, and preparation for the next day. Life in Tenochtitlan is continuous, layered, and exacting. Survival requires constant awareness, precision, endurance, and moral alignment. Outsiders would struggle immediately. Children are trained to integrate work, play, and ritual seamlessly. Every household, street, and canal participates in a web of survival, labor, devotion, and observation. The city pulses hour by hour, day by day, season by season, weaving labor, ritual, education, and family life into a living tapestry. Festivals, public ceremonies, and obligations punctuate daily labor, marking time and reinforcing cultural memory. Water management, crop cycles, and social hierarchy create interlocking systems of survival and order. Each citizen contributes to the resilience of the city, balancing personal survival with social, ecological, and cosmic responsibilities. Even before dawn, Tenochtitlan is alive with subtle motion. Firelight flickers in homes, water laps quietly against canoe hulls, temples cast long shadows across the city. Sentries, artisans, and families remain alert, attuned to the rhythm of life. Every act, from grinding maize to observing a dream, is embedded with purpose, sustaining the city and its people. Survival is inseparable from vigilance, skill, and devotion. Life in this floating city is demanding yet intricate, a continuous bollet of labor, observation, ritual, and social interaction. Each hour is an exercise in endurance, precision, and awareness. Every day reinforces the lessons of the past, preparing citizens for challenges to come. From the morning stirring of households to the quiet vigilance of night, the Aztec Empire teaches that survival is not merely existence. It is disciplined, intentional, and profoundly interconnected with every aspect of the world. As dawn breaks over the canals once more, the city awakens not only with movement, but with subtle tension. The kind that threads beneath every conversation, every glance, and every gesture. In the neighborhoods near the central temples, families rise in a more complex dance of observation and obligation. The day begins with ritual inspection, eyes scanning the home, the hearth, the storage of maize and beans, the arrangement of offerings at the household altar. Even the placement of a flower or a kernel of maize carries weight, signaling devotion, discipline, and attention. For an outsider, such care might seem obsessive, but in Tenochtitlan, it is survival. Beyond the visible routines, the city is alive with invisible pressures. Every citizen understands that their actions are constantly observed by neighbors, kin, and, on occasion, officials. A mother teaching her child to grind maize must do so with precision, for mistakes reflect not just on domestic skill, but on lineage, diligence, and moral attentiveness. A merchant selling baskets of fish or bundles of textiles must balance commerce with propriety, understanding that gestures, tones of voice, and timing communicate status, respect, and credibility. The city operates as a continuous, unspoken negotiation of perception, honor, and obligation. In the narrow alleyways between dwellings, conversations begin quietly. Neighbors exchange subtle information, news of crop conditions, health concerns, market availability, or social gossip. These exchanges are carefully coded. Too much bluntness risks offense. Too little information risks social exclusion. The social web of Tenochtitlan is delicate and constantly in motion. Survival is as much about reading these subtle cues as it is about procuring food or practicing a craft. Awareness is constant, honed from childhood through play, work, and observation. At the temples, priests begin the day with silent ritual preparation. Ceremonial garments are arranged with precision, incense is gathered, and instruments are tuned. They move through spaces that hum with history, memory, and expectation. Each chant, each movement, carries the weight of cosmic balance. Even the smallest misstep in ritual could ripple outward symbolically, and the priests are acutely aware of this responsibility. Life in Tenochtitlan is not only practical but symbolic. Every act, from planting seeds to washing a child, participates in a broader cosmic order. By mid-morning, the marketplace becomes a choreography of negotiation and awareness. Merchants assess buyers with subtle gestures and quick glances. Buyers, in turn, gauge merchants' demeanor, offerings, and tone. Every interaction is layered. It is commerce, social signaling, and moral practice all at once. Children accompanying their parents absorb these interactions like dry sponges, learning the nuances of observation, timing, and social balance. In these ordinary interactions, the skills of survival, negotiation, and social perception are cultivated. Meanwhile, across the city, artisans work in their quiet spaces, each movement exacting, each product layered with intention. A featherworker pauses to consider the curve of a quetzal plume, its placement signaling rank honor or religious devotion. A potter smooths clay, aware that a small flaw could make the vessel useless or unacceptable for ritual purposes. A weaver manipulates threads, encoding narrative, lineage, and status into a single textile. Their labor is not only functional but instructive, training both hands and mind in observation, precision, and patience. Outside the bustle, the chinampas thrive under careful tending. Farmers inspect plants, monitor water levels, and move between plots in a silent rhythm of attention. Each plant is a story of human intervention and observation of interaction with water, soil, and sunlight. Even a minor lapse, a channel left unadjusted, a plant ignored, can cascade into food shortages or economic difficulty. Survival in this aquatic city is a negotiation with nature, requiring knowledge, attentiveness, and deliberate action. The city's warriors, too, move in subtle preparation, training not only for combat, but for social expectation and honor. Young men swing wooden swords in repetitive sequences, practicing strikes and blocks, while instructors note even the slightest lapse in stance, timing, or focus. Each repetition builds discipline, endurance, and precision. In Tenochtitlan, physical skill is inseparable from social and spiritual responsibility. A warrior's failure is not merely physical, it carries weight in reputation, honor, and perceived moral character. Children navigate the city in constant observation, learning by imitation. Boys shadow fathers, apprentices, or older mentors, internalizing trade skills, strategy, and social nuance. Girls work alongside mothers and other women, absorbing patterns of weaving, cooking, and domestic management. Play itself carries meaning. Games are exercises in strategy, observation, reflexes, and patience. Learning, labor, and play form a seamless continuum, embedding lessons of survival and social expectation into every hour of childhood. As the sun climbs, the physical and social pressures intensify. Merchants shield their goods from heat, laborers adjust pace and hydration, and families monitor children's safety and learning. Life in Tenochtitlan is never passive. Each movement requires calculation, observation, and care. Even ordinary tasks, preparing food, maintaining tools, adjusting irrigation channels, are intertwined with moral, social, and practical consequences. Religious practice punctuates daily labor. Household altars receive offerings. Temple rituals continue in measured cadence. Music, incense, and chant thread through the city, guiding attention, sustaining social cohesion, and connecting citizens to a larger cosmic order. Even in ordinary work, the sacred and the practical are inseparable. Life itself is ritualized, each act a reinforcement of social, moral, and cosmic equilibrium. By afternoon, the city hums with layered activity. Markets grow crowded, artisans work in the hot light, and fields require attention before the sun wanes. Observation, precision, and endurance remain paramount. Every choice matters: how water is carried, maize is ground, fish are cleaned, or clay is molded. Each gesture contributes to survival, social cohesion, and cosmic balance. Evening softens the intensity of the city. Fires glow in homes and public spaces, casting flickering shadows that animate walls, bridges, and canals. Families gather to share meals and stories, teaching children practical skills, moral guidance, and historical narrative. Storytelling, song, and play reinforce social and spiritual norms, teaching observation, patience, and reflection. Leisure itself becomes instruction. Nightfall deepens. Sentries patrol quietly, listening for disturbances. Artisans may continue their delicate work under dim light. Families sleep lightly, attuned to the rhythm of the city, the subtle sounds of water, and the soft movements of neighbors. Dreams carry guidance, warnings, or instruction. Sleep is another act of vigilance, observation, and reflection, preparing citizens for the continuous demands of life. In Tenochtitlan, life is a constant negotiation with the environment, society, and cosmic order. Every action carries layers of consequence. Survival is embedded in observation, skill, discipline, and moral alignment. Outsiders would find the pace relentless, the demands unyielding, and the social subtleties confusing. For those born into it, this rhythm is continuity, beauty, and order. Every gesture, movement, and breath participates in a living system of interdependence, awareness, and devotion. As the city drifts into the deep hours of night, Tenochtitlan takes on a different character, one quieter, yet filled with tension. The canals mirror the moonlight, turning the water into a silver ribbon threading through the city, reflecting temples and dwellings in distorted, ghostly shapes. Fires flicker in homes and along the plazas, illuminating faces in warm, golden light, while shadows dance across walls, adding a sense of intimacy and mystery to the familiar cityscape. For those awake, the night is not merely rest. It is a time of vigilance, reflection, and preparation for the responsibilities of the next day. Within the temples, priests perform rituals that few outside their order witness. They move silently, their bare feet gliding across the polished stone floors, incense smoke curling around them like a living veil. Each gesture is precise, learned over years of repetition, honed to perfection. The rituals are exacting, offerings are prepared with meticulous attention to proportion, color, and placement. Maize, flowers, and ceremonial figurines are arranged not only for symbolism, but in accordance with strict tradition, as every act of devotion is believed to maintain cosmic balance. Even a minor deviation, a misaligned grain of maize, a crooked flower, can carry spiritual consequences. Meanwhile, in the city streets and canals, secret exchanges continue in hushed tones. Merchants sometimes trade rare goods under the cover of darkness, whispering deals that will be too delicate for the bustling daylight market. The nocturnal city is alive with observation. Neighbors listen for gossip, apprentices watch their mentors for subtle signals, and young warriors observe the movements of their peers in preparation for training or eventual combat. The night magnifies awareness. A subtle gesture, a whispered tone, or a fleeting expression can carry significant weight. Young warriors, those still in training, face psychological pressures unique to the night. They lie on reed mats in small communal spaces, whispering and observing each other's behaviors, comparing strength, courage, and endurance. Sleep is often light, as the memory of the day's training, strikes, blocks, lessons in discipline reverberates through their minds. Dreams are dissected with care, interpreted for signs of bravery, moral alignment, and potential success in future battles or ceremonial responsibilities. The night is an extension of training, a time when even subconscious thought must be disciplined. Artisans often work late into the night, especially in preparation for ceremonial events or important orders. A featherworker may manipulate quetzal or parrot feathers under dim firelight, noticing subtle changes in color or texture only visible with practiced attention. A potter shapes clay with silent focus, aware that even the smallest imperfection will render a vessel unsuitable for ritual purposes. Weavers continue their intricate patterns by candle or ember, their eyes trained to detect inconsistencies in thread, pattern, or color. The night amplifies their need for precision and patience, yet it also offers a rare solitude in which mastery can flourish undisturbed by the chaos of the day. In homes, families sleep lightly, attuned to the subtle rhythms of the city. Children awaken at odd hours, whether from dreams, hunger, or the sound of water lapping against canal edges. Parents respond with care, instructing softly, reinforcing the lessons of observation, patience, and survival. Even these intimate domestic moments are instructional. A child learns to move silently, to respect thresholds, to respond with careful judgment. In Tenochtitlan, the boundary between education, survival, and routine is virtually invisible. Every act, awake or asleep, carries significance. The canals themselves hold a quiet life at night. Canoes glide silently over moonlit water, transporting goods or travelers between neighborhoods. Fish stir just beneath the surface, unaware of the humans above, yet contributing to the delicate ecosystem that sustains the city. Farmers inspect small plots by torchlight, adjusting water flow or checking the health of plants and fish. The nocturnal tasks are subtle but crucial. Without attention at these hours, the balance of food supply, labor, and survival could shift dangerously. Even social interactions take on a subtler form in the night. Friends and neighbors meet quietly in shadowed alleyways to exchange news, guidance, or advice. Subtle gestures communicate respect, caution, or urgency. Gossip moves with careful discretion. A misjudged word can spread misinformation or create social tension. The social fabric is as intricate at night as it is in the daylight, but the stakes feel amplified in darkness, when attention and discernment are paramount. Religious observances continue quietly in private spaces. Families offer small, personal prayers to household gods or ancestors, scattering maize, flowers, and tiny offerings with a reverence intensified by the hush of night. Music, softly played on flutes or small drums, threads through neighborhoods, maintaining rhythm and focus even as the city sleeps. These nocturnal acts reinforce the moral and cosmic order, reminding each citizen that their actions, even in the unseen hours, contribute to the maintenance of balance and continuity. In these hours, the pressures of survival and social expectation are particularly tangible. Mistakes are amplified, observation becomes hyper-aware, and even rest is an act of discipline. The night magnifies the subtle complexities of life, the layering of duty, devotion, labor, education, and social navigation. Each hour demands attentiveness, and every act contributes to the continuity of the city, its culture, and its moral and cosmic order. And yet, within this rigor, there is a profound quiet beauty. Moonlight reflecting off the canals creates a silver landscape. Shadows dance along stone and reed structures, and the gentle lapping of water under boats or the whisper of wind through maize stalks forms a calming, rhythmic soundtrack. For those attuned to its rhythms, the night is both a challenge and a meditation, a space for reflection, mastery, and preparation. By the first hints of dawn, Tenochtitlan shifts once again. The nocturnal vigilance gives way to the soft stirrings of the day, the grinding of maize, the smell of cooking fires, children's laughter, merchants preparing goods, and artisans resuming work. Yet the echoes of night, the careful observation, the practiced discipline, the subtle gestures, remain embedded in every action. The cycle of life, labor, and ritual continues, seamless and continuous. And so, as the sun rises once more over the canals of Tenochtitlan, casting its warm light across stone temples, floating gardens, and bustling streets, we pause to reflect on the intricate, relentless, and astonishing rhythm of life in the Aztec Empire. From the moment dawn breaks, through the heat of the day, the careful labor of artisans, merchants, and farmers, the disciplined training of young warriors, to the quiet vigilance of night, every hour is filled with purpose, observation, and discipline. Life here is not merely survival. It is a constant practice in attention, endurance, skill, and devotion. Families, neighbors, and citizens navigate a web of obligations that blends work, ritual, education, and morality. A misstep in the marketplace, an error in a ritual offering, or a lapse in observation in the fields could ripple outward, affecting both immediate survival and social standing. The city itself, built upon water, sustained by intricate floating gardens and networks of trade, requires cooperation, precision, and deep knowledge of both human and natural systems. Every individual, from the youngest child to the most learned priest, participates in this vast, interconnected cycle of life, and every action contributes to the stability of the empire. If you ever wondered whether an outsider could survive here, the answer becomes clear. Tenochtitlan is a city of rigorous demands, of constant attention and learning, of social, spiritual, and environmental awareness interwoven into every gesture. For someone untrained, unobservant, or unaware of the delicate balance, survival would be nearly impossible. It is a society that tests the body, mind, and spirit with a rhythm that never truly stops, where even moments of rest are infused with vigilance and reflection. In that sense, the title's warning is not exaggeration. You would not survive easily, and yet within this intensity exists profound beauty, structure, and meaning. An ordered, living system that elevated daily existence into a form of art, devotion, and societal cohesion. We have walked together through the quiet streets, the bustling marketplaces, the floating gardens, the training grounds, and the shadowed halls of the temples. We have witnessed the subtle pressures, the intricate systems, and the human endurance that allowed the Aztecs not just to survive, but to thrive in one of history's most remarkable civilizations. Their lives were precise, demanding, and deeply interwoven with the land, the water, the gods, and one another, a tapestry that is both awe-inspiring and humbling to contemplate. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the daily life of the Aztec Empire. I hope you found it as mesmerizing, immersive, and enlightening as I did. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss future explorations of past civilizations, and leave a comment down below sharing what part of Aztec life you found the most surprising or fascinating. Perhaps it was the disciplined training of young warriors, the complexity of the markets, or the quiet beauty of life along the canals. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, may your dreams be calm, your curiosity endless, and your mind open to the stories the past has to offer.